Hey there, Tmux-Yank here. In this video, we're going to go over how to fix garbled text when copying certain things with Tmux-Yank within WSL 2. I don't know about you, but I love using Tmux. I use Tmux-Yank to copy things with the mouse, but I noticed that sometimes text would be copied in a way where if I pasted it, there would just be garbled text, basically text that you wouldn't expect to see. You know, this typically happened when copying emojis, or maybe something like the output of tree here, where you have, I don't know, non-standard ASCII characters, something like this. But check it out. Okay, so if we do something like an ls and my dot files, whatever, you know, I can copy these three lines here using Tmux-Yank, open up NeoVim, paste it in, everything is great. No garbled characters at all. And you can paste this into a Windows notepad or whatever, and it's all the same, works perfect. But check it out now. If we do something like tree and we, grab some of these outputs here, do the same exact thing that we did before, paste it in. Oh, what is that? That is not what I expected to see here. And, the same thing happens if you have something like an emoji character as well. For example, in the README file, let me just find wherever I might have this, sure, about the author. If I copy that with NeoVim, that's totally fine here. But check it out. If we go and cut out this README file here to the terminal, I can copy it here using Tmux-Yank, same thing. And then we can go here and just paste it in. And then you get this type of thing instead of actually seeing the emoji character in the end. So this is interesting. Maybe a side topic of this video is just like debugging processes here, because if I actually exit out of Tmux here and try to do the same thing here, so let's cut out that README file, grab this emoji here and just copy that and paste it in, everything is good to go here. Even if we go into Tmux itself again, and, this time around, let's cut out the README file just like we did before. But instead of using Tmux-Yank, you can just use, the built-in ability to go into copy mode with Tmux. For example, leader key, and then the left open square bracket. That's what I'm entered in right now. We can go up to here, select that with V, and then you can hit enter to copy this one line. And now we can paste it in and everything is good to go. So the debugging process here was like, okay, I can copy paste things fine without Tmux. I can also copy paste things fine within Tmux if I'm not using Tmux-Yank. However, when I'm using Tmux-Yank, this is where the problem lies here. So this made me think like, my core Tmux setup is probably okay. It's something isolated to the Tmux-Yank plugin. And after poking around in their source code a little bit, I did identify the problem here. So let me just go open up a browser here. I actually ended up opening up an issue here, and it's probably only going to be specific with WSL 2 or WSL in general, because Tmux-Yank has some logic in its code to basically detect what clipboard sharing tool it should use. And the problem here is, at least based on some of the research that I've done here, I don't think clip.exe fully handles UTF encoding there, because certain characters, outside that basic ASCII range there, they get all messed up. And I actually have a reproducible example here outside of Tmux-Yank that you can test. For example, let's echo out that pipe symbol here or one of these little tree symbols here, and we just pipe that into clip.exe, just like that. And now if I go to paste this in, then we are getting all sorts of issues here. And this has nothing to do with using Tmux-Yank. This is literally just taking some text, piping it into clip.exe, and demonstrating that there's a problem there. So going back to here, I just let them know here in the issue here, there's a couple of different ways to solve this one, right? And it's up to you on how you want to solve this one as well. But like, WSL 2 is just a Linux system. So I actually suggested, maybe remove that condition for clip.exe and just have WSL 2 folks follow the Linux solutions there, such as installing Xclip, and you're good to go. Another option potentially, if you just want to have like a fallback plan that sort of works, but might break with emojis and other characters, you can just move the if conditions around so that the clip one is after all the Linux stuff, so it becomes last in the list. So if someone has Xclip installed, then they're good to go. There's actually another solution here. My dot files already fixed it here, where you can actually override the clipboard command that Tmux-Yank uses. And I've already got a script, and I've done videos about this one in the past, this little clip copy script. And just detects whatever clipboard tool is available in a cross-OS compatible way. For example, if we go and take a look here at clip copy here, then it'll just be like, well, if you're using Wayland and WL copy is available, use that. Otherwise, use PB copy if you're using something like Mac OS. Otherwise, fall back to using something like Xclip. And if you can see here, clip.exe is never used at all. So if I go to my Tmux config file in the dot files, I actually wanted to demonstrate that things were broken, so I commented out the fix that actually is live in the dot files now, where we're just telling Tmux-Yank, hey, just use that clip copy script instead. And if I do that now, and let's say we do, I don't know, Tmux kill server, just to do a full reload here on Tmux. Let's restart Tmux now. And now if we go and do the same thing that we did before, let's just do the tree example here. We can grab some text here, copy it with Tmux like this, open up NeoVim, paste it in, and things are good to go here. No more garbled text there, which is nice. We can also cut out that README file here, look at some of the emojis on the bottom here. Let's grab, I don't know, the whole paragraph there also, go into NeoVim, paste it in, and emojis are able to be copied also correctly, and things are good to go. So, you know, if you're using my dotfiles, you're good to go there. And but if you're not, and you just want to like start messing around with Tmux-Yank to maybe make this work without waiting for a patch potentially from the authors of Tmux-Yank, there are other ways to solve this one as well. For example, if you go into Tmux, this is where I have all the plugins installed for Tmux here. I don't have a whole lot, but there's a couple of them. But yeah, if we go into Tmux-Yank here and we take a look here at this little helper script here, yeah, this is that if condition I was chatting about before. You know, they've got this copy command here where, you know, you can override the copy command. That's going to be first on the list, and that's what we're doing in my .files there. Else, it's like, well, if you have pbcopy enabled, maybe you're using macOS, something like that, use that. Otherwise, use clip.exe if that's available, you know, if you're in WSL. And then it's like, well, yeah, if you have Wayland copy here, or XL, or XClip, or whatever, then it's going to, you know, start reading these in order, right? Whenever these conditions evaluate to true, it's going to execute that, and the other stuff is just not going to execute because it's like, yeah, it's inside this condition here. So yeah, the problem here, right, is the clip.exe is above the other things. So if you're in WSL, it's going to be evaluated to use clip.exe instead of the other stuff here. So, you know, in that issue, I was like, yeah, you can just comment that out, and then it's going to fall through to that. In WSL, it's not going to work. It may work if you installed XL and WSL. I mean, I happen to use XClip, but eventually it will, you know, pick up one of those. The other option here that you could technically do is, you know, you can just move this all the way down here. And yeah, once you do this, then you'd be able to have this happen. And if you, within WSL, then if you have XL or XClip installed, it'll use that first, even before it gets to here. And the idea here is like, you know, this would be the fallback plan, right? Maybe someone inside of WSL has never installed XClip before, so they don't have any of these. So then at least it falls back to something that works in the majority of the cases. I mean, I'm not the author of the tool here. I would suggest probably just getting rid of the clip.exe because, I don't know, the out-of-the-box experience for folks is pretty nice when everything just works. You know, if I'm trying to copy, paste an emoji or something like the output of tree, and I see those garbled characters, you know, suddenly that's a rabbit hole I need to go down now, and not having this in here would fix that. Although maybe in the future, Microsoft fix clip.exe for this to work. I don't know. That's way out of scope for what I'm available to do here. I just know that, yeah, overriding the clipboard command using the custom one, that is all nice and works. And by the way, you know, I've done videos about this one in the past around clipboard sharing within WSL and Windows. So yeah, as long as you have WSL-G enabled, then yeah, you'll be able to use something like XClip in WSL2, put something in the clipboard, it gets copied, and then you can paste it into Windows and vice versa, and everything just works nicely. So yeah, nice little, I don't know, short video on troubleshooting in general, identifying root causes, jumping into some code to potentially see some workarounds, and then coming up with a solution and fixing it in my .files ultimately, so that hopefully you don't run into situations like this. But it is nice to know how the problem became about and how to resolve it in a step-by-step way. With that said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give a thumbs up. It really does help a lot. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.